Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time there was a sweet girl who always wore a red-hooded cape. Because of this, everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother gave her a basket of food and said, "Take this to your grandmother, but remember, stay on the path and do not talk to strangers." Little Red Riding Hood skipped happily through the forest. Suddenly a big cunning wolf appeared. "Where are you going, little girl?" he asked. "I'm going to my grandmother's house," she answered. The wolf, pretending to be friendly, said, "Why not pick some flowers for her? She would love that." Excited, Little Red Riding Hood wandered off the path, picking the prettiest flowers. Meanwhile, the wolf ran straight to the grandmother's house. He knocked on the door and, in a sweet voice, called, "Grandmother, it's me, Little Red Riding Hood." When the grandmother opened the door, the wolf jumped inside and locked her in the closet. He quickly put on a nightgown and cap and got into bed, waiting for the little girl. When Little Red Riding Hood arrived, she noticed something strange. "Grandmother, what big ears you have!" "The better to hear you with, my dear," said the wolf. "Grandmother, what big eyes you have!" "The better to see you with, my dear." "Grandmother, what big teeth you have!" "The better to eat you with," roared the wolf, jumping out of bed. Just as the wolf was about to catch her, a brave woodcutter burst into the house and scared the wolf away. He opened the closet and freed the grandmother. Little Red Riding Hood hugged her grandmother tightly. "I'm so sorry, grandmother. I should have listened to my mother." From that day on, Little Red Riding Hood always stayed on the path and never spoke to strangers again. And so, she and her grandmother lived happily ever after. The clever Keloğlan and the Sultan's test. Once upon a time, in a small village at the edge of a great kingdom, lived a clever and kind-hearted boy named Keloğlan. He was known for his bald head and quick wit. Though he and his mother were poor, Keloğlan always found ways to bring joy and laughter to those around him. One day, the Sultan announced a challenge. "Whoever can solve my 3 riddles shall be rewarded with gold and a place in my court." Many wise men and scholars tried, but none could answer correctly. Hearing this, Keloğlan told his mother, "I will go to the palace and try my luck. If I succeed, we will never be poor again." At the palace, the Sultan looked at Keloğlan and smirked. "You, a simple village boy? Let's see if you are as clever as you say." The Sultan asked his first riddle. "What is the most powerful thing in the world?" Keloğlan thought for a moment and said, "A mother's love. No army, no king, and no wealth is stronger than a mother's love for her child." The Sultan nodded, impressed. Then he asked the second riddle. "What can fill an entire room but takes up no space?" Keloğlan smiled and replied, "Light. Even the smallest candle can fill the darkest room." The court murmured in amazement. The Sultan then gave his final riddle. "What is something you can give away but still keep?" Keloğlan confidently answered, "Knowledge. When you teach someone, you do not lose what you know. Instead, it grows." The Sultan laughed and clapped his hands. "You are truly wise beyond your years. As promised, you shall be rewarded." Keloğlan humbly accepted a sack of gold, but refused a place in the court. "I am happiest in my village with my mother," he said. The Sultan, impressed by Keloğlan's wisdom and humility, declared, "From now on, my kingdom shall always welcome you, for you are a treasure more valuable than gold." And so Keloğlan returned home, where he and his mother lived happily ever after.